How we doing, folks? Well, yes, I am back behind the wheel of the Mk2 Golf, and if you remember in the last video I did, I had an overheating problem with this car. Now, while I'm driving, it's not overheating, okay? It's absolutely, the gauge is bang smack in the middle, so everything looks absolutely fine there. I drove it into work this morning as well, same situation. I was at sustained 70 miles per hour on the motorway and not a bother on it. It was absolutely fine, no sign of overheating, okay? Now, when I got into work, I just quickly checked the radiator hoses, and both top and bottom radiator hoses were hot, which I expected, so that means that there's nothing wrong with the thermostat. Now, if I'd left it running, my belief is that the temperature gauge would have started to climb. So what's that telling us? That is telling us that the radiator fan is not working. Okay, so that's what we need to look at first of all, because what's happening is basically when the car is sitting stationary and there's no airflow through the radiator, that's when it's starting to get hot and bothered, because it can't shift that heat. That's what the radiator fan is for. It rarely comes on, if ever, when you're driving, like, or when you're moving. I mean, unless you are lugging it up a hill or something like that, and it needs to get that bit of extra air through the rad. But if you were driving at sustained high speed, there's plenty of air going through. So there's a couple of things we can check. The first thing is the easiest thing to check, first of all, is the radiator fan switch. Now, in a Mk2 Golf, there is a 2-speed radiator fan, so there's 3 terminals. So let's have a look at the radiator fan switch, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I'm still on the way home here now, and I'm stuck in traffic because of roadworks, and they have half the county dug up, which is annoying, and they can't seem to do it piece by piece, to do it all together, which is great fun. But anyway, yeah, because I'm stuck in traffic, the engine temperature is climbing, so that confirms my belief. And incidentally, I did actually check the coolant level before I set out on this journey, and the coolant level was actually fine. So that is not our issue. So yeah, radiator fan it is. So okay, so I suppose the first sensible thing to do is to check the fuses. It'd be a little anticlimactic if it was just a fuse that was blown, but still in all, it's a possible cause of overheating, and that's the subject of this video. Other possible causes of overheating are the unfortunate ones, such as a head gasket failure, for example, and stuck thermostat. So let's have a look and see. So we need to find which fuse is the right one for the wiper motor, or not for the wiper motor, sorry, for the rad fan. Radiator fan is number 19. There you go, just in case you didn't believe me. So we need to, there's 22, so let's see, 22, 21, 20, 19. Little green fella in there. Pop that out and drop it. Fuse is intact. Okay, so it's not the fuse. Right, so that's number one thing to check. Next thing to check is the switch that actually controls the radiator fan, and I'm going to have a look at that now and show you exactly where it is. So we will, while we're here, pull the bonnet. Nice satisfying clunk when you pull the bonnet in this. Now, it did occur to me while I was driving home, by the way, that I was messing with wiring under the engine bay in this car, because I had to tie it up because it was a snag in the NCT that apparently insulation was damaged. It wasn't, it was just a tape that wraps the wiring harness together, so it's a stupid thing to fail on. And I did have to pressure wash the engine too, so it's an entire possibility that maybe one of those things actually did cause the problem that we're having now. Maybe there was a loose connection or something that was about to give up the ghost. But let's have a look at the switch next anyway, and we can rule that out as a possible culprit, because that's what my suspicion is. Now, it goes without saying, although it shouldn't really, maybe I shouldn't say it goes without saying, because you should never count on never underestimate the ability of an idiot to do something wrong. It should go without saying to make sure that you don't get your fingers caught in the radiator fan if it does come on, okay? So that's the radiator fan. Be careful of it, okay? And down here, down the bottom, which my hand is on now, is the switch that turns the radiator fan on and off. It's a 2-position switch, and what we need to do is we need to remove the connector from that first of all. And then what we need to do is bridge the contacts of it and see if the rad fan comes on. You don't need to worry about shorting anything out, because there's no ground supply to this switch. It's bed onto it anyway. Here, I'll come back to you. Basically, the connector just pulls off. Okay, so I have the connector off. once I pulled the rubber back on it, it was a straightforward enough effort. And what I have here is a pliers, which I've actually filed the ends off. I use it for removing some awkward circlips. I do actually have circlip pliers sets as well, but this literally is just a case of just putting the two ends of the pliers, and you won't get an electric shock. It's only 12 volts. And you'll see the radiator fan's on. So that's speed 1 and this is speed 2. Okay, I'll accept that the bearings in the fan motor are not sounding too healthy, but sure enough it's working. So that's what our problem is. So what we need to do is we need to order a new radiator fan switch because it's not a serviceable part. And basically all you need to do then in order to actually change the radiator fan switch is, it's a bit of a faff because of the fact that coolant is obviously going to pour out when you take it out. If you have a look down there at the switch, get you in a bit closer, you basically need to get a deep socket or a spanner onto that and crack it loose, okay, and leave it just cracked loose, okay, and then just finger tighten it again. And if you are quick enough, now do this with the engine code, if you are quick enough at unthreading that and threading the new one in, you shouldn't lose too much coolant, but you're going to need to have a bucket underneath anyway, and then you're going to need to bleed the coolant system, make sure that you don't have any air in it, and that the coolant system is adequately topped up again, because you will obviously lose a little bit. And then pop your connector back on and the job should be a good one. So, okay, so we know what our problem is, so that's basically it. Okay, so we've successfully identified the issue with the Golf overheating, so a nice simple fix. Well, it will be a nice simple fix. Small, inexpensive part to replace, not an uncommon point of failure on a Golf, and one that's definitely worth doing, because if you don't do it and you end up stuck in traffic, you'll end up with something like a head gasket failure, and you get a head gasket failure, you're going to have a bad time. So yeah, definitely a simple fix, and one I'm going to do during the week. And that will be that. So yeah, look, we'll leave it there, folks. Thanks very much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in a future video.